would be able to do all those food. That's why it might be a little bit nebbish on that. Just try to come up with all ways to put that revenue. Our second speaker for tonight is working out of his advanced communicator series, The Entertaining Speech, project number 1, Making Memories. Tony has been in Toastmasters since October of 2016. Tony recently completed his Competent Communicator manual and is now working on his Advanced Communication manual. With Making Memories, please welcome Tony.
I'm going to share with you tonight a story that will be a memory in my life and 2 other guys that I know. This past summer, I went on a fishing trip with a guide. My son bought me a brief guide trip on the Lower Illinois to go striper fishing. We had a good time, and I shared this with some coworkers of mine, suppliers that were in town, and I mentioned to him, I showed him some pictures of the fish, and he thought that was really cool. He said, I'd like to do that sometime. And I just thought, that's just what people say. And he called me about 3 or 4 weeks later, and he says, I'm going to be back in town in a couple weeks. Can you arrange a fishing trip for me? Sure. And he said, I'll have Dave from the factory with me, and we'll have a great time. The 3 of us will go fishing. So I called my guide up, my friend, and I said, hey, we want to fish. What you got available? He had a date available. It worked out. So we left early in the afternoon to drive down to Gore, Oklahoma, on the Lower Illinois River. Gore is a very, very small town. I've been at Gore a lot. I used to camp down there at a campground called Marval Campground. I took my family down there. We camped. You can see some nodding heads. You're familiar with it. So when I say Gore is a small town, it's amazing that a small town has like 3 or 4 police officers. So you have to be really careful when you drive through Gore, Oklahoma. And I know this. So I'm driving, I'm leading the way. They've never been there before, and they're in their truck, my 2 friends, following me. As we approach Gore, I get a phone call. Hey, Tony, can we stop by a liquor store? We need some beer. Okay, no problem. I know exactly where the liquor store is in Gore, Oklahoma. Been there before. I know it's on the left-hand side as I'm going north, on the west side, towards the end of town. And I also know when you go through Gore, Oklahoma, you don't go over 30 miles per hour, or you're liable to get a ticket. So I know as I approach the Gore line, I'm going to slow down to 30 miles an hour after I go over the bridge of the Arkansas River. I do exactly that. My friend Buddy's following me at 30 miles an hour. And I'm looking to my left as I get past town, towards the end of town, looking for this liquor store. I didn't see it. So now I'm at the north end of town, and once you get past Gore, Oklahoma, you're on the highway, and there's no place to turn around. So there was one last place I could turn around. It was a little gravel parking lot to the right. So I pulled in there, and I did a slow U-turn, and Buddy follows me around this U-turn, and I turn back around, going the other way, thinking, okay, I've missed it, but there's got to be a liquor store here. There's still got to be one. So I'm driving really slow now. I'm like 20 or 25, because now I'm looking on both sides of the street looking for a liquor store. It wasn't where I thought it was. And I get just a few hundred yards, and I spot it on the left. So I pull into the parking lot. Buddy pulls in beside me. I'm walking up to the door to go in, and all of a sudden I hear squealing tires. And I look around, and there is a police car that has pulled in behind Buddy at like 40 miles per hour and stopped right behind him. Like, what in the world can possibly be going on? I know we weren't speeding, and he was going the same speed I was, so why is this happening? I'm totally confused. I have no idea what's going on. Police officer gets out, and I'm standing here by the door. I'm like, I'm not getting in the middle of this right now, so I'll just wait here, right? And police officer walks up, and he tells Buddy, he says, stay in the car, license and registration. Buddy's like, oh, okay. And he's thinking, what in the world did he do wrong? None of us know what he did wrong. The policeman's talking to him, and I can't really hear what he's saying. Then the lady that works at the liquor store walks out, and she says, what's going on? I said, I have no idea. I said, I was looking for your liquor store, and it used to be on the other side of the road, and so I had to do a U-turn and come back around. She says, oh, yeah, we used to be over there. We moved over here. Okay. I said, I found you, obviously. I said, and my friend Buddy, I know not to drive fast in this town. I know better. I've been here before. My friend Buddy follows me, and he pulls in right beside me, and next thing you know, Barney there pulls in beside me. And we don't know what we did wrong. And she goes, well, that's Billy Jack or Billy Joe. And I said, okay. She said, Billy Joe sleeps with a 70-year-old woman. How is that relevant, right? I have no idea. So she tells me this, and I'm thinking, that's weird. And she says, well, I'm going to call my boss because she owns this place. And this happened last night, too. And he's hurting our business. We rely on tourism here, tourism dollars. She said, why are you guys here? I said, we're just here to go fishing. She says, I'm calling. So she goes in and calls. And finally, the police officer's walking back to his car. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to go on the other side of the truck where Dave's sitting. He's got his window rolled down, and I'm looking through there. I don't want to be too close to the police officer. I don't want to get him upset. I'm like, what's going on, guys? They're like, we don't really know. He told us that we were grab-assing in his town. I'm like, grab-assing? Yeah, he said that we were grab-assing in his town. And I said, well, what does that mean? They're like, we don't know. We have no idea. And so I stayed there, and the police officer comes back, and he says, well, you don't have any points on your, any other violations, and there's no points on your record, so I'm going to let you go with a warning. And he's just, but I don't want any more grab-assing in this town. Buddy's like, he has no idea what to say. Buddy is one of these guys that he would never do anything wrong purposely, for sure. He might speed once in a while, but nothing more than that. So he's like, well, sir, I have a brother-in-law that's a police officer. We're like, buddy, just shut up. He starts talking. The police officer does not want to hear any talking. So finally, Buddy gets the hint. He's like, oh, okay, thank you, sir. And the police officer leaves. So we get out, and we walk in, and Buddy says, and Buddy doesn't drink, okay? He might have a beer once in a while. He walks in, and he pounds his fist on the table, and he says, what's the hardest thing you've got? He says, do you have highballs? And the lady says, yeah, we've got some back here. And Dave and I are like, what the heck? So Buddy buys a highball, we get some beer, we get in our car, and we go fishing. So we had a good time. We caught some fish. We fished for 2 or 3 hours. Luckily, we weren't late. I thought we'd be late by this time, but the guide was running late, and so he didn't have to wait on us. We waited on him for a few minutes, and then we fished. So I'm on the way home that evening, and I call my wife, and I tell her about this story. And I said, the policeman said they were grab-assing. And she says, I said, do you know what that means? And she said, no, not really. But she looked it up. I'll tell you exactly what she saw. Grab-ass or grab-assing. Sexual touching and clutching. Really? The act of wrestling or chasing another person with the intention of squeezing that person's butt. Again, really? Now here's the one that really got me. To look for prostitutes. Now, if you're going to look for prostitutes, are you really going to go to Gore, Oklahoma? No. Finally, I figured it out. She says, oh, by the way, there's a, what do you call it, like a, trying to think of the word, it's a slang version, okay? Slang version of the word. Horseplay or causing commotion that has become annoying. Okay, that's what he must have meant. At any rate, this story is a memory that me and my friends will remember forever. Mr. Toastmaster.
Our third and final speaker for the evening is starting